Boris in pop at EU Covid F.A.R.C.E We've vaccinated more than whole of Europe combined. Boris Johnson has announced the UK has vaccinated more people than the whole of Europe in a common statement on the state of Britain's fight against coronavirus. MPs will later today be asked to vote for a third national lockdown for England due to the rapid spread of a mutant variant of COVID. But Mr. Johnson said the UK was now in a sprint in a race against the virus to vaccinate people quicker than coronavirus is spreading. Announcing the successful early rollout of COVID jabs in the UK, he added, "We have now done more vaccinations in the UK than the rest of Europe combined." Anger has been mounting in the EU at the slow pace of its vaccination programme. The UK's immunisation drive began on December 8, but the Brussels bloc did not start injecting until December 27. While more than 1.3 million people in Britain have already received a COVID jab, in France fewer than 1,000 have been vaccinated. Mr. Johnson said while the UK had got off to a good start, the pace must not only be kept up, but must now be accelerated. Speaking in the Commons, he said more than 650,000 people aged over 80 had already been vaccinated and said a quarter of all vulnerable people would have been given the jab by the end of the week. He added, within 2 to 3 weeks, almost 1 in 4 of the most vulnerable groups will all have a significant degree of immunity. Continuing to ramp up the UK's inoculation efforts, the Prime Minister vowed as well as the 1,000 vaccination centres already open across the country, more would be operational in the coming weeks. He told MPs there were 595 GP-led sites, with a further 180 opening later this week, and 107 hospital sites, with another 100 later this week. Next week we will also have 7 vaccination centres opening in places such as sports stadia and exhibition centres. Mr. Johnson is banking on the successful rollout of the vaccine to ease the strict coronavirus restrictions imposed on England as of today. The Prime Minister announced the new lockdown in a televised address on Monday night. He warned the surge in coronavirus cases left him with no choice but to act. When the government introduced the new 3-tier system in England in December, there was a huge backbench rebellion on the measures.